This is the Hasselblad 500 series camera. It's the first camera that went to the moon. Ansel Adams had one, and it's beautiful, but it's mostly been replaced by digital perfectionism that we carry around in our pocket. But maybe something was lost. Maybe the experience of perfection isn't quite what this experience can offer you. But what if you could have all of this with the convenience of modern? What if it gave you the world's best image quality with a 100 megapixel sensor? What if it gave you the experience of film with the convenience of digital? And the option to go with a more compact setup when you wanted to be a little more discreet, when you wanted to travel a little more lightly. This is what the Hasselblad 907X offers.
Well, that's very dramatic, Tony, but I actually just think it's beautiful and fun. So let's go try it. I'm at the Lyman Allen Museum in New London, Connecticut, and that's appropriate because this Hasselblad is living history. The 500 series has been around for 80 years, and you feel that in the design. It's classic, it's timeless, it has a legacy feel with all of the fun and ease of a modern digital camera. I'm going to take some pictures of my car here, which I think brings the same feeling to this review, because I think the same person that would appreciate a Hasselblad and the legacy and the design appreciates my car. So let me get some pictures.
Look, any camera or even your phone can take a picture of a car, but this is definitely the most beautiful and engaging way to take a photo. And very few cameras can give you 100 megapixels of detail, allowing you to see the winter tires that we're using.
The design of this camera is going to be so novel to you if you're a DSLR or mirrorless camera shooter because it's a waist level viewfinder. The back screen here can be flush or it flips out. When you look down, you're composing your subject from a lower angle, which literally has you looking at your photos differently, and it's a different creative process. Something that's interesting is that even though this camera has this heritage vintage design, the menu system is incredibly modern. Everything is touchscreen, easy to use, intuitive, and is reminiscent of apps on a phone.
Here's an example of the Hasselblad's user interface if you want to configure how long it takes to automatically power off. You press the menu button, go to power, and then you can select display off or power off and scroll through like this. On a Nikon, which is typical of most Japanese cameras, you press the menu button, and now you scroll through here, and well, I'm not sure where the power settings are, genuinely. Maybe it's under the wrench icon. I don't know if that's it. I don't think so. No, maybe it's under the pencil icon. None of these seem to be about the battery.
Wait, I looked it up, and the answer is on page 395 of the Nikon's 830-page menu. I missed it. It was under the pencil icon, menu C, under timers. But the point is, if you're a human like me and you don't memorize 830-page manuals, the Hasselblad makes life much easier.
And it's a very streamlined, simple, intuitive, and modern interface as far as software goes, but then it's wrapped in this beautiful vintage style body. It's a dream. If you like our review so far, it would really help us out if you could like and subscribe to our channel. If you hit the notification bell, YouTube will let you know when we have more new videos out, and that would just help us a lot. Thanks. If you're interested in trying some vintage stuff, it's a lot of fun and it can happen easily and affordably with KEH. They're our sponsor for this video, but we also just love to be customers of KEH. We sell all of our used gear to them, and we also buy used gear from them. You could adapt a vintage lens on your current camera, or you could buy a fun vintage or film camera and try out this older experience and see your photos from a different perspective. If you want to save 5%, go to keh.com and use our coupons in the description below. Also, if you want to get an extra 5% when you sell their gear to them, you can get a 5% bonus on that. So thanks KEH for providing a great service and for also making this video possible.
I think the coolest way to use the 907X is to connect it directly to Hasselblad's old 500 series cameras, because the experience on this is just so amazing. I'll slide this open, and now I have a waist down view of the world. It's not an SLR. Those had a prism that righted the view for you, but these older cameras, everything is backwards, left to right, and it just kind of throws you off, but it also means you see the world a little bit differently. Once I have this lined up, I can just press the shutter on the old camera body, and the digital back picks it up and takes the picture. Of course, everything here is totally manual, so I just set the ISO on the digital back just like I would set film, and dial in the aperture and shutter speed on the lens. It's also cool because on this particular lens, the shutter and aperture are locked together. Back in the old days of studio work where these were so popular, you would meter the scene and then set the aperture and shutter speed. And then you could adjust the aperture and it would keep the shutter speed balanced with it. So even when you changed your settings, you would know the exposure was right, provided the light didn't change. I have to manually crank the shutter and mirror so that I can fire it again each time. And it's a process I just love. It forces you to slow down. It forces you to think about everything. There are so many of these lenses and bodies out there to explore. Check KEH has a fantastic selection of them. So go shop around and think about the types of shots and the type of experience you could have using this.
Let's talk about the image quality that you get from this camera setup. It has 100 megapixels, and I have to be honest, I didn't want to like 100 megapixels. I wanted to think that it was way too many megapixels to appreciate, but when I looked at side-by-side images of a full frame, like 60 megapixel camera versus this, you really could tell the difference. You can keep cropping and zooming and you're still having incredible resolution. And on top of that, you get a base ISO of ISO 64, which means that you can get very smooth, noise-free photos if that's what you choose. I want to show you that I also put this system together in a modular way, which is really cool. I added this grip. I mean, it just makes it look so much more special. It's got this little joystick here. You can put the shutter button here and an extra dial under your finger if you don't want to use this shutter button. I also put a modular hot shoe on top if that's something that you wanted to do. So I love that this system's modular because you can customize it and it's completely unique. And in fact, we had this on our kitchen counter, which isn't unusual for us. Unfortunately, our kitchen counter is often covered in a bunch of cameras, but this is the first time in a while that we had people that didn't know anything about photography look at it and say, whoa, what is that? That looks special. And it's partially because of this cool grip attached to it. I also want to talk about some practical features like autofocus. It has face detection autofocus. And I'm always skeptical when I hear about that because there's the features you can put on your marketing sheets and everything, and then it's actually how it works and if it's practical. And I'm happy to say that the face detection works well. You can tap on the screen or you can hit the shutter button and it does lock onto the faces. It's not super fast. It's not the fastest autofocus that I've used, but it works really well, especially with this setup, because this isn't the type of camera where you're ever going to be doing sports or wildlife. You're going to be doing more contemplative, slow portraits or studio portraits, and so it works more than well enough for those things.
Chelsea took me on a trip to Boston for my birthday, and I didn't bring a laptop. I used my iPhone to edit and transfer the pictures, and it worked amazingly well. Despite them being 100 megapixel RAW files, they transferred in about 7 seconds to my phone. That's over a 200 megabyte file, meaning in megabits per second. For you network guys, that's 200 to 250 megabits per second, or between 4 and 5 times faster than my 60 megapixel Sony A7RC. Hasselblad software is simply a world better than any of the Japanese camera manufacturers.
There's actually a lot of competition among medium format 100 megapixel cameras, and that's a good thing. Hasselblad also has this X2D 100C, which has a more traditional form factor. It has a traditional grip that's permanently attached. It has an electronic viewfinder up here, as well as a tilting rear screen, and it has sensor stabilization, so you should be able to handhold pictures longer. Though I found I was doing good with this, even at 1/10 of a second handheld, because the form factor is so nice and you're holding it so naturally. I don't know that it needs sensor stabilization, but still, the X2D is probably the better camera for the average day-to-day shooter because this traditional form factor has worked so well. If I had the budget, I would definitely get both of them. Of course, Fuji also has a medium format system, the GFX system, and they have a 100 megapixel camera that I think probably has the same sensor. They're very different systems though. I hesitate to even compare them because the Fuji system is very much like all the other Japanese cameras in that they have all the features. Like this is not even shoot video. It's really pared back and minimalistic. The Fuji system has many more features, but it has a much more complex menu system, and everything is this more traditional form factor. You know, they don't have sort of a waist level viewfinder type system. Fuji has about the same number of lenses, but some of them are a little faster, so you could get more bokeh, you could get better low light performance, but Hasselblad, I think, offers the better overall experience. Okay, we'll tell you whether you should get the 907X or not, but first I want to thank our sponsor, KEH. KEH has thousands of cameras and lenses, both modern and vintage. If you want any of this experience, you can go to KEH and get a vintage lens for whatever your camera you have, especially if it's mirrorless. Put an adapter on there and get some of that experience, breathe some life and some passion back into your photography.
Not only that, you can't go wrong with KEH because they have a generous return period and a warranty. So if you don't like it for any reason, you can return it. If something breaks within this time period, they will fix it for you. So try out KEH and be sure to use our coupon code down below for 5% off. Thanks, KEH.
Should people buy the 907X?
Yes. If you're
No hesitation.
If you're able to get this, it is so much fun. It's beautiful. It changes the way you see through the lens. I get a lot of cameras and lenses going across my desk, and I haven't had one that excited me this much in years. I love it.
We just unboxed this Hasselblad, and this is just rare for two reviews. Just hold on.
I love this, and I want this. Look.
What do you like? What are your first impressions?
It is novel, and also the construction just feels timeless. It's so beautifully built. This grip is cool. All of the materials just feel premium, high quality, and then it harkens back to medium format film. So it's like this modular body that's really cool. It looks beautiful. I love it. We got to review the files, but I love it. Why do I have to love you?
You just have to love the most expensive camera we've ever gotten. I love it too. When we took a trip to Boston, and I brought that out with me everywhere because I was just so excited. It made me excited to go out and take pictures again because it just changed enough of the process to reignite my passion. This is the kind of camera that you save for, something you dream about. And when you go into retirement, maybe you work a little bit extra so that you could afford to bring this with you and use it for the rest of your life. I think it's just amazing.
I think it's a legacy piece, and even people that didn't know anything about photography could tell this was special. So if you're able to, get it.
Don't forget to subscribe for tutorials, reviews, and live photo reviews every Thursday at 5. Bye.